Speaking of leverage, Trump-Putin phone call today. Most of the foreign policy sharpies, the smart Alex, say Putin is playing Trump. He's got no intention of agreeing to a deal, and he's just going to string this out. So, Sean, I start with you. I have long believed that the great challenge of all of our presidents in the last five is how do you get leverage over China and Russia? President Trump has talked about potential sanctions against Putin. What is in his what arrows are in his leverage quiver over Putin as he engages him today and tries to land this peace plane?
Well, I think both economically and military, it's a very different situation than China. That being said, for those two reasons, I do think he's got a lot more leverage on Putin. He can say, if you actually cross one of these lines that we established, I will come after you. I will target you both economically and militarily. And it's a very different situation than if that were China. So I have a feeling that
just to be clear, sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean that it was exactly the same. In fact,
no,
I
no,
agree
I
with you.
know. No, they both
But
correct.
but the goal is the same. The goal is the same. They need
Right.
leverage.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just saying, I want to be clear because I agree. I mean, they're not the same, but I think they're both the outliers. And I think the difference between this one is that there's a lot more leverage. Sanctions have a lot easier effect on Russia and their country. And then secondly, I think militarily we're in a much, much stronger position to enact change. And I think that Putin does quasi fear the hell out of Trump. Like, what's he going to do to me? Putin's strength remains largely because the people believe that he is this, strong leader. And I think if he were to get attacked in a public way, it would really undermine that. So Trump has that card to play.
Dan.
Well, I think the complete opposite. I think Trump has zero leverage over Putin because Trump's not his banker, either militarily or economically. It's China. And China is very happy to feed Putin and have us kind of play this game with him. And so I think Putin has the leverage on Trump because Trump wants a deal. He badly wants a deal. He is telling the whole world he wants a deal. So he browbeat Zelensky into kind of agreeing to a ceasefire and kind of agreeing to basically what Trump wants. And what do we hear from Putin? Like this morning, Russia leaks that they want all arms to be halted. Then Russia leaks that they would actually like a little bit more land than they currently have. And so Putin is just masterfully saying, all right, I'll inch a little closer to dancing, but here's the condition for it. Now I'll inch a little bit. And Trump's like, I want a deal. I want a deal. I want a deal. Sean, I think Trump is terrified of going to war with Putin. The only leverage we really have is putting arms on the ground. And we keep saying we don't want to do that.
Dan,
so
I agree with
Putin will play him like a harp.
I agree with you almost entirely with one thing that I don't know enough about to say, which is sanctions. The Trump administration is positing that there are more sanctions that could be put on. I don't understand why the Biden folks wouldn't have put on every sanction possible, but apparently they didn't. But there's this factual question, which is if you take the sanctions from 7 to 10, or roughly that's where I'm told it is, does that have an impact on Putin's behavior? It doesn't seem to. The sanctions are leaky. Putin's got the Chinese, he's got the North Koreans, he's got the Turks to some extent. So I don't know what leverage he has, and I think that Trump is going to have to offer him a pretty cushy deal to get him.
Well, there's also the wear of the Russian military. How much more might do they have? I mean, if Trump says, "Hey, look, you guys keep going at this, I will at some point, make this more difficult for you." They can't. There's only so much that the Russian military, both in terms of munitions and strength, can actually do. So I do question how long that whether Putin's not looking for an off ramp.
Look, I mean, I agree, but the history of Russia is they'll throw bodies at a problem basically until you cry uncle. And again, unless Trump is willing to say, I will rush, arms and sophisticated weapons, give them the green light to go into Russia. All the things that apparently Joe Biden didn't do sufficiently. Joe Biden tied their hands behind their back, right? The guy who wants peace, 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 peace. I'd be really fascinated to see him flip on a dime and go all in.
Yeah, I want to see if he can pull a rabbit out of the hat in the call today. We'll see. All right.
Well, by the way, that gets back to the schedule. There's no way this executive order time at 3:00 is always a placeholder, but I can't imagine that he has a call. Caroline said it yesterday at the briefing, but I gotta believe that Trump personally would want to go out there and talk about this.
He'll want to shape the narrative immediately.
Right.
Yep.
Sean, you're saying you can't imagine he won't want to talk about it.
Correct.
All right. I love the double negative. It's sometimes the most effective way to communicate. Thank you for that. All right.